Jeff, the show started. Are you going to come out and say hello to the viewers?
Oh, good. Oh my God. Oh, geez. It's so bad down there. It's so clogged up. I've never seen so much shit in there before. Hey, everybody. I'm Jeff Arbuckle. I'm your friendly neighborhood B-movie proctologist. But this week, oh my God. God damn, that thing is... Whew. I'm probably not going to be so friendly this week. That thing is plugged up real good up in there. You're probably wondering what's down there under my table. And, you know, what is it under this desk that I'm either going down to deal with or coming back up from or whatever? Well, most of you probably don't realize this, but I sit at the exit of a B-movie portal. It's, I guess, more of an orifice, I suppose. Nah, there's no dressing this up. This is an asshole down here. I just sit outside of Moviedom's asshole. So these movies come along. They're just right on down the Hershey Highway. I mean, slipping on down the old poop chute. And I'm here to deal with them. And it's not really necessarily the job I thought I'd have when I was a once wide-eyed, eager lad in middle school and high school, when the counselor would ask what I wanted to be when I was a somewhat jaded, deflated, and generally rudderless grown-up. But here I am. This is my lot. This is the literal shit that I have to deal with. But most of the time, the movies coming down this colon of despair aren't so bad. Sure, Eyes Behind the Stars was disappointing, but not totally without some hope. My Mom's a Werewolf is a fun little monster comedy. But this is suck, man. I once stood face to smelly butt face with this movie, and I'm a little worse for wear due to it. Nurse Disembody, give the kiddos at home a taste of what I have to deal with once again.
In this week's new episode, Jeff is headed to the African desert to search for lost Nazi gold from World War II. What is found instead is not just the grave, but the treasure of the living dead. This is Jess Franco's notoriously bad Oasis of the Zombies, which Jeff has listed as one of the worst movies he ever reviewed at bmovieenema.com. Jeff has not been looking forward to this one, so please forgive his attitude during these proceedings.
So yeah, Oasis of the Zombies. Now here's the deal, boys and girls. I wouldn't normally plan to ever watch this movie again. However, there was this solemn promise that I gave to myself when I decided to start this little program here. When B-Movie Enema started way back in 2014, the first 6 articles were done in a vastly different way than the others since have been done. Mostly, I was not writing as deeply. I wasn't totally comfortable yet with the way the blog was going to play out and so on and so forth. And I was just kind of writing. I didn't have any pictures to help support my articles. It was just this wall of text in an article. Now, flash forward to now, and here I am with B-Movie Enema, the series. I mean, look at this production design here, people. I thought, gee, wouldn't it be, nice to kind of pay tribute to those first 6 articles and feature them on the show in a relatively short order? Well, I seem to kind of conveniently forget that Oasis of the Zombies was one of the first 6 movies. And now you might think, but Jeff, good sir, you dapper, hunky enema man, why don't you just, not do it? Well, a normal person would see eye to eye with you, you cheeky flatterer, you. But I'm not a normal person. I am me, and I enjoy inflicting self-harm onto my eyeballs and my brain bits and my sensibilities. That brings me back to Jess Franco and his Oasis of the Zombies. Now, here's the thing, though. I really like Jess Franco. He made some really awesome movies with some really neat things in it. He made the awful Dr. Orloff and the diabolical Dr. Z, and those are amazing. He made Vampiros Lesbos. I mean, that title alone should be all you need to see, hear, or read in a sentence to realize that, yes, it is something worth mentioning. Two Female Spies in Flowered Panties is not just a clever title, but a fun little action sexploitation flick. And he made my favorite Ilsa movie, The Wicked Warden. Well, it isn't so much an Ilsa movie, so much to say, but the title was changed to reflect that it was part of the series or whatever. But anyway, he made some not so great movies too, but this one just takes the cake. There's a handful of movies in the B-Movie Enema pantheon that are shit cake to the bottom of the barrel. Oasis of the Zombies is indeed classically considered one of these movies. To say that this is one of those movies that gets nicely lodged up in the movie butthole that I am constantly plundering is a bit of an understatement. This one doesn't just plug up the works down there, but it immediately festers and creates a massive blockage, and everything just makes everything just really, really smelly. It's one of those tough, thankless jobs that you just got to roll up your sleeves and deal with. And, put a little elbow grease into your job, smile, and clock out and go home. Then come back the next day to do it all over again. So goes life.
Maybe it's for the best that you just go ahead and get started. It will help get this all over with and behind you.
Yeah, right as always, nurse. Okay, so buckle up, kiddos. I'm going to get back up in there and into this movie poop shoot and get back to work. And I'll see you after the first segment of this movie. All right, everybody. Wish me luck. You gotta love the eye on Jess Franco for his shots. In the early stages, we have those two girls driving through the desert, and as they investigate, we get that sweet, sweet shot of their asses and them holding hands. So we get a couple of images in our brain bits, butts and ladies who are into ladies. While this movie mostly deals with zombies, it does bring in that whole Nazi and World War II story plot too. Zombie Nazis sound pretty terrible, yet a fun twist on the whole zombie idea, right? Zombies are bad, Nazis are worse. Zombie Nazis seem pretty much like the end of the whole world. You do have to love that the whole Nazi gold stuff is added in there too. This turns the idea from a zombie movie into this kind of treasure hunt movie, or tries to at least. I don't know how successful it is with that. It's not unusual for a treasure to be guarded in some way by something scary or spooky in stories. So if we're going to go out and look for Nazi gold, then why not have it be guarded by scary Nazi monsters and stuff? So everything feels so much more elevated when you bring the Nazis into this. So, hey, Nurse This and Buddy, have you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I love that movie.
Yeah, so, it's one thing for Indiana Jones to go looking for the Ark of the Covenant and all the super religious vengeance of God kept inside, but he's trying to get to it before the Nazis? Oh, and then you have that, climax with Indiana Jones and Marion tied to that post, and that eerie ritual when they opened the ark and the ghost came out and melted everybody's faces. That shit was awesome. But this shit though?
This is not possible.
No, it really isn't. So as much as I'd like to talk more about this whole Nazi gold part of the movie, because if you add searching for Nazi gold or after stumbling upon a large treasure of Nazi gold to any synopsis, the movie would immediately sound way cooler than it did before. But I'm going to actually talk about this movie. There are interesting ideas at play here, but goddamn, we're spending a whole lot of time in flashback. This guy wants to know where the Nazi gold is. See, that sentence just made everything way cooler by adding Nazi gold to it. But he goes to talk to a guy who knows where it is. He then kills him. And now the dead guy's son is there going through the old man's stuff, and we enter into the flashback where we see the old guy in World War II. Now, I do not want to be this guy, because not everyone can be as blessed as I am to have the gorgeous mug that I have. But the guy playing the World War II guy really kind of looks like a head and face that were made out of hamburger. Like if you were going to make a meatloaf, and you mix the milk and the egg and the breadcrumbs and the ketchup all together, and now you are forming the loaf of the meat. But you didn't just stop with that, with the formation of the loaf. Instead, you decided to sculpt a face on it. Then you added some parsley leaves to give, to kind of form a mustache or whatever But, that's this guy. The fuck was I talking about?
I don't know, but now I want to listen to Meatloaf.
Oh yeah, zombies. So Meatloaf Man was in charge of a battalion of British soldiers, and they are supposed to intercept a German caravan or whatever. They get ambushed, and a whole bunch of people died, but Meatloaf Man survived, right? So apparently, no one wants to go back to the Oasis where the battle happened for spooky evil reasons, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, we've not seen any goddamn zombies yet. Look, I got to get back up in there and see if I can conjure up some living dead. And I'll be back up here after the next segment. So this film has two different versions. In one version, the French and English one that we're watching, we have a different actress playing Kurt's wife. In fact, I think the actor playing Kurt himself is different. Now, Kurt is the guy who killed the old World War II guy after that guy told him where the Nazi gold was stashed. In the Spanish version, Jess Franco's longtime muse and second wife, Lena Romay, played Kurt's wife. Now, Romay lived with Franco for decades, but they didn't marry officially until 2008 and remained married until she died in 2012. Romay is probably better known for some of the more sexy films that Franco made in the 70s. She was one of the female spies in Flower Panties, and Romay had what probably can best be described as a Rubenesque figure. Now, if you've never heard that term before, or don't know where that came from, that term actually comes from the characteristics of the females featured in the paintings of a guy named Rubens. Now, I have no idea who Rubens is. I just know what Rubenesque women are. They're generally fuller figured and more voluptuous. Considering the 70s was a time in which many of the famous women were very skinny, blonde, and kind of generally idealized like the West Coast beauties here in the United States, having a sex symbol with dark hair, dark eyes, and a slightly more olive tone in her skin color, and definitely a fuller figure, is something that I kind of liked. But anyway, after Jess Franco would lose his favorite star, Soledad Miranda, to a terrible car accident, Romay became his muse and object of his lust and affection. Just like Nurse Disembody sees me as the object of her lust and affection.
In your dreams, weirdo.
But we at least got to see one scene of full-on zombies. The zombies attacked Kurt's team and killed his wife but good and then bit him. And of course, he later succumbed to that wound as well and found himself on top of a local village's barbecue pit. Now, I will at least say that the zombies look kind of cool in this movie, but kind of generally speaking, they are run-of-the-mill kind of European zombie movie zombies, I guess. And it's likely between this movie and Zombie Lake, both of them were riding the coattails of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead and Lucio Fulci's Zombie. And while this movie is not uniquely Italian, it definitely has that feel, doesn't it? And since I'm talking about the Zombie Lake, and since I mentioned that previously, I guess we should probably get into that. That was meant to be a Jess Franco film too, and he had this idea of Nazi zombies and submitted a script, and it was rejected for being kind of bad. And the company that made that movie ended up hiring Jean Rollin, and Rollin used much of Franco's ideas for that movie, and Franco ultimately had to have Zombie Lake stricken from his filmography, despite it being really pretty successful. Now, obviously, Franco borrowed some of his ideas for Oasis of the Zombies, and, well, here we are.
This movie is pretty boring.
Oh, boy, howdy is it boring. I mean, and that's and what's worse is that it doesn't really give us anything to kind of hang our hats on, right? Like, the characters are hardly interesting. We're given practically no reason to be interested in them, and they're just kind of vapid people. As much as the Meatloaf Man is kind of hard to look at least he had some interesting backstory, right? I mean, he was this World War II officer who led his squadron to a place and that, ultimately got them killed. And then he got rescued by the kindly local who had that hot daughter, and the guy impregnates the girl, but has to go back to war. And the lady dies giving birth to our main character, Robert, but it just kind of loses the thread from there. Robert then ends up going with his friends to find the Nazi gold, but he comes across his grandfather, and they don't even stop to say, hey, we're related, buddy. It's all just stupid. And we know nothing of Robert's friends. We don't really understand the desire to get the gold other than it is $6 million worth. We're not given really anything. And at least with the Meatloaf face man, we get his story. And, there's just lots we can do with that plot. But whatever.
Are you almost done down there?
Yeah, actually I am almost done down there. I'm going to get back up in there and get those last little bits out for you guys. And you guys can then watch the stunningly shit conclusion to Oasis of the Zombies. And I'll see you after the movie. All right, so the conclusion no one cared about for the movie that no one wants to watch, presented to you by the guy who doesn't like the movie. How's that for some fucking entertainment?
Well, at least you don't have to watch it ever again, right?
I mean, true, but was it worth it? Was it really, really worth it? Now, I've never said that I've had an easy gig. But, I don't really know why I was so angry at that movie the night that I watched it. I don't know if I was being a particular jerk that night or if I was just mad for some reason or if I've softened in my old age. The movie is bad, yes, but it's not as anger-inducing as it was then. And I can say that it is, as Nurse Disembody put it, boring. I mean, there's little to hold on to except for maybe seeing how often the blonde in this movie gets naked, which is exactly 1/2 times twice for a total of 1 time. Trust me, my math works. The World War II part was interesting, but not that great. The present day stuff is a little confusing because when is it happening? So, speaking of math, get this, my brothers and sisters. This movie came out in 1982, so I presume that means the stuff happening in this movie was, 1981? World War II ended in 1945, right? So that's 36 years difference. But the guy said that when he met the woman, fell in love with her, and, had to go back, he ended up having to go back to war, which was 2 more years for him. So that means that the latest, that part where he met the girl and he was kind of, being fixed up by the local guy was 1943. However, it could have been earlier than that, right? The guy might have gotten hurt and was released from duty before the end of the war. But I admit that's probably a little bit too much to think about, and that's getting a little bit too much in the headcanon. So let's say it was 1943 when he met this girl, fell in love with her, and she got preggers with Robert, and Robert was born in, say, 1944. So you with me here so far, Nurse?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so first, where did Robert go after being born? The old man said that he found the guy, the woman's father, so Robert's grandfather, staring blankly, sitting alone, and that's when he found out that the woman died, giving birth to Robert. Everyone else in town was gone or dead. So where did Robert go? On top of that, Robert would be something like 37 years old. No one else on this expedition is even 30, I wouldn't think, and it seemed like that he was there with contemporaries and friends. So you see where I'm going with this, right, Nurse Disembody?
Oh yes, I know exactly where you're going.
So either this movie is taking place before 1981, like say 1971, or it's a full of shit bad movie. I'll let the world decide. Meanwhile, Nurse, what do you say about hopping on the back of my chopper and heading out west for the open road and some warmer weather?
Ooh, I can feel the wind in my hair already.
Alrighty. Alright, my biker mama, grab hold of me tight and let's head off for our next adventure with wolves and bikers and Satanists. But first, tell them where they can find all of our stuffs.
You can find all of Jeff's writings and upcoming episodes at www.bmovieenema.com. You can follow the page at Facebook and Twitter and check out episodes on YouTube. If you have a Roku, Get OtherWorlds TV and check him out along with all the other hosts that appear there on weekends.
Alrighty, ready to go, nurse? Get on that motorcycle and go. Wait, I don't even have a motorcycle.